Hello, church. My name is Jackie, and I'm going to present the way Jesus became a leader by being compassionate. Starting off, I have a question to ask. Have you ever gotten trouble to define a word despite the fact that you know what it is, like knowing the word but not defining it or knowing what it means? I can say this has happened to me almost too many times, and especially with the word compassion. Even if it says so in the word, compassion has more of a meaning than what it looks. What does compassion mean? By definition, it means to have sympathy and concern for those who are suffering or for those who are facing misfortune. Notably, having strong feeling for someone who is in pain is what compassion is. We can also call it pity, sympathy, concern, empathy, and the list goes on. But what makes it different? Well, the word compassion came from the word compassionem, from late Latin during the 3rd and 6th century. That came from the stem of compati. The literal meaning of that word is to suffer together or to share pity. Kind of poetic, isn't it? I find it very interesting knowing how Jesus expressed his deepest emotions meeting his people in the stories shown in the Bible. Jesus has always thought of others first and always felt what others felt. Let's look into how Jesus shared the suffrage of others, then healed it. There are many times Jesus felt compassion to his people. He has connected with those who felt left out, who suffered multiple diseases, who lost their loved ones, who were blind, who seek shelter, who needed love and validation, and there's more I cannot think of. Jesus was known to be caring and sympathetic towards the people who listened to him while speaking God's words. A time Jesus performed a huge miracle out of compassion was when he fed 4,000 people. If you turn to Matthew 15, verse 32, it says, Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away, or they may collapse on the way. This was the time Jesus was on a hill and spoke of the word of God for 3 days straight. Imagine how tired everyone must be after hearing such great preachings. It might be tough to head back since many did not eat efficiently for 3 days. I couldn't already one day without eating, without feeling awful already. Nevertheless, Jesus did not let those people go until they ate, because he was worried for them, knowing some could not walk home without getting enough nutriments in them to allow them to walk. So he did a miracle that was out of this world. He took 7 loaves of bread and a few fish, prayed for the food, and it split them, and gave it to hungry people one by one. By everyone's surprise, he was able to feed all 4,000 people. They ate until they were full, and they even had leftovers. Imagine being able to feed so many people with such little amounts of food. Although we cannot perform such miracles, we can take this as an advice or an idea to take initiative and help others who needs it. A great leader needs to understand how others feel. Of course, as human beings, we cannot accommodate to everyone, which each of us go through different things, but being open and understanding is important for a leader. Compassion is kind of an act of love towards someone. Already sharing pain is very loving and caring from both parties. Leader can be someone to voice those pain that they see and feel so that they can be heard by someone else who may share these same feelings. At my school, most students are immigrant and first generation from immigrant families like me. Already, it's full of diverse students from French-speaking countries. With all us being Franco students, we are very different from each other, so it's hard to connect, which is why I adore when the school create clubs for activities, especially for students who struggle adapting to our school. This year, our school decided to change a lot of things and added quite a few clubs that never appeared in our history books. We got a designing club to make school merch, knitting club, and a club that we call Alliance des étudiants noirs. This club is really important because it's a club for students who are either Black or from minority groups to come together and talk about the problems and how to improve our school life in our school. For example, when we were wearing head wraps in our school back then, we weren't allowed to, and it was kind of against the rules. So we did push for a change, and we changed the rules so that we could wear cultural head wraps that doesn't need to be involved with a religion specifically. We also wanted to sign petitions so that history teachers could teach more about Canadian Black history as well as Indigenous history related to systematic racism used against them. It was only last year that I learned the severity of the resident schools in Canada. The interesting part about this alliance is that it was founded by students who learned about the struggles of our school being a minority group. Back then, there were students who got into trouble wearing head wraps or were pushed aside by their teachers for not being accepting of their cultures. And these students, because of this, the students felt compassion, and the complaints made a lot of changes. And also, we were able to connect with our sister schools and form a bigger alliance with the French public schools in Southern Ontario. It was all done in 1 year, and there's still a lot more to come. To conclude, there's many ways Jesus was a leader, and compassion was one of them. While he was here on earth, he showed sharing pain was key to showing love towards his people. In this case, the club in my school showed how there are people who needs help, especially being a minority. Just a few students in the club started a movement and spread awareness so that younger students of color could earn a better education, just like how Jesus performed a miracle to feed 4,000 people from a few loaves of bread and fish. Thank you, church, for listening to me, and have a wonderful day.